guys have. Why, hello. Uh, so yeah, I think today starts episode 2 of making a game. And yeah, I think the main goal for this week is to kind of start building the base foundation for the game. And that includes the multiplayer the multiplayer setup, all the important things that you need to kind of run a multiplayer game, and some key elements that we need specifically for our game. And also, we'll be building our character, trying to figure out what our character is going to look like, and finally, but the most important thing is what our map is going to look like. So yeah, that's what we're going to try to build. I don't know how this week's going to end, but let me take you through what we're going to be doing. And so with this week's agenda, we're finally building the game's foundation, the multiplayer architecture. Now, there's a huge list of things that we need to get done this week, but we can only get started once we actually have multiplayer working. And to get multiplayer working, we just need to make sure that networking works and that two players can join the same room and play together. So that's what step 1 is for me, making sure that two people join the same scene, and then after that we keep on building with adding more features like matchmaking and so on and so forth. The goal is a modular system where each gameplay object can sync independently without breaking the rest. Basically, I'm trying to stop everything from exploding when somebody joins. That's about it. And while that's happening, our concept artist Andrew and our game designer Christopher are going to be sitting together to figure out what our character will look like. We're trying to figure out what this Blocks Fruits version of our character could be like, and we're pretty much leaning more towards this anime-esque sort of character that also attributes to looking like a gorilla or a monkey. And that's simply because all these other really famous VR games also have similar characteristics. Like the top 5 games like Animal Company and Gorilla Tag all have gorillas or monkeys as their main character, and so it's a no-brainer that we're going to be using a gorilla. So a gorilla plus an anime character will probably be what we're looking at. And so some initial inspirations was obviously Luffy, and so taking Luffy and putting it as a monkey to see what happens. And so with that discussion continuing on, we'll see what our concept artist Andrew gets for us in the coming stages. Meanwhile, I got started with coding up the networking system, and I think I finished it. And so now 2 players are gonna be able to join. I'm pretty confident that this is gonna work. Okay, so the game didn't open. It's time to see what failed. And if you're wondering how Christopher works to get the best game ideas to do, he sits in a room cooped up like this, and on a small tablet in the corner there's a dancing spinning cockroach. And so after all that thinking done by Christopher, we finally have a plan for what our first world should look like, or at least like a basic version of it. And so in the same tradition as how Blocks Fruits works, which is a game that's all about islands and you having to travel from one island to another island, we're initially going to start our game to have a similar concept, but just one island to start with. And this one island will basically consist of 3 different types of biomes or areas, and these 3 areas would have different types of monsters, and so killing a certain monster would then drop a certain type of fruit out of the 3 fruit types that we have, which is a flame fruit, a flame fruit or an ember fruit, a grass fruit, and a drip fruit. And so finally, once you would go and kill these different monsters from these different biomes, you would then get your fruit, and then you would eventually collect all 3 fruits to then go and fight the boss monster, which is hidden somewhere on this island. But yeah, that's the game plan, and we'll see how far we get with executing this, because one problem that came up is that VFX is a huge bottleneck, but I'll explain that problem in just a bit. Coming back to our character design, well, this is what Christopher made. Not the sharpest character design in the shed, but this is what we were trying to get, and that's what he made. That's where Andrew is our true concept artist, and this is kind of the initial early sketches of what he made to kind of give you that anime-esque gorilla look. But I think it's more right now he's mainly focusing on just drawing basic shapes of how a gorilla could look like in this initial phase, and then I think later on down the line in the upcoming clips you'll sort of see what he's made. And while all that was happening, I spent my entire day trying to figure out how to make sure two players join the same scene, which is very concerning. But yeah, I think I finally figured it out at the end of the day. So oh no, it's not working. Here we go again. You know what? I think I'm done today. I'll go home and figure this out tomorrow. Okay, fresh start in the morning. Let's get this done. And of course, I eventually did end up using a lot of ChatGPT, but lo and behold, we've coded it up and we have two scenes open, and you're about to see two players join the exact same scene because it truly works. It finally works. It's still truly surprising why it took me one day, but I'm glad. With that, the first task is checked off and we have 20 more tasks to go. This is depressing. So yeah, we have this huge list, a lot of things to do, and yeah, with the help of ChatGPT, I have 100% faith that this will all happen in the next 2 weeks, and I'm not going to bore you guys by taking you through this suffering as a dev. So I'll show you what the other people are doing. Anurag, our other concept artist, started looking at how the fruits might look like in our game. And now comes the VFX problem. So we have to make around 40 different types of VFX effects, if that's how you say it, in around 2 to 3 weeks. And we only have one person who can do it, so that seems pretty impossible. And so we're trying to understand how we can reduce the load. So we sat down with Praloy, our VFX artist, to kind of understand how we can go about solving this in the most efficient way possible. And we ended up cutting a lot of scope and optimizing for a few key VFX effects. I feel like I'm getting this wrong. VFX effects. And so this is what Andrew had come up with after a day's worth of effort. And so you can see that he's made a bunch of different types of gorilla lookalikes sort of faces, along with all of the inspirations with anime and a bit of puppets. And so we're just trying to look at how these possibilities could work. And on the side, Christopher also tried to make his version of our character some form of a Muppet character, which is also there in a famous game called Yeeps. And well, it comment down below what you think it looks like. My Hero Academy. Bakugo. He has a very strong white hair. Yeah. What are the characters? Ichigo Kurosaki. Yeah. It's a Malayalam word. Yeah, Kakashi. Kakashi Hatake. Isn't that the same hair? Kakashi and Gojo is the same hair, yes. Zoro! We're trying to see if the characters, we're trying to put different hairstyles for the characters. Same scalable. Zoro! Zoro mera. Naruto Uzumaki. And after all of that, we ended up with these two different types of concepts, one a gorilla and one a sort of Muppet character that kind of resembles Luffy with different hairstyles. Comment down below and let me know which ones you guys like, and maybe we can get that in the game. So yeah, pretty cool effort from Andrew. Finally, Niramya, our technical artist, finally got started with building out our first world by making this entire terrain. And so it's going to be really fun to get this into VR and see how it works. But these are the initial stages. And yeah, looking forward to see how this grows. And so while this was happening, I was working on getting in the Live camera, which is the camera system that we're using to record in-game videos for other players in our game that want to create content for the game. And so yeah, Something simple like this should probably take a couple of hours, but no. I spent around my entire day on this trying to figure out why I wasn't able to grab this particular camera. But yeah, in the end, it was some tag issue, and all I did was I just had to set the tag on the camera to be a hand tag, which just means that I can grab it. But yeah, eventually we got there. And I think the rest of the tasks on that engineering list is probably pushed to next week. And so we'll probably get to that in the next week's challenges. So yeah, with that, this covers episode 2 of making a VR game. A lot of cool and fun stuff. This is the first week that we have actually been working on things. And so yeah, in the next couple of weeks, we'll finally get to see progress on what we're building and eventually getting to a playtest. I am currently at a random mall in the middle of some random place. There's like a bridge that connects Lulu Mall to this performing arts center that I just came to know about today, and yeah. But yes, so today is a Saturday, and I'm about to go for grocery shopping, but now I just wanted to let you guys know about like reflections for the week. Yeah, I think this week with making this game, I think it was the first week that I finally started to code up some stuff, and so also if there seems to be a lot of echo over here now that I think about it. Terrible place to record. But yeah, I think this week was pretty alright overall. It was the first week that we started getting to develop something as a team, and yeah, I think the design team, specifically Andrew, our concept artist, got started with making the character. We have another concept artist called Anurag that got started with making the fruits, and so yeah, I think just seeing that progress got me really excited to see what the potential design or look or the visuals of our game could feel like. On another tangent, I feel like in terms of development, I feel like we've made progress towards like a couple of key tasks getting done, mainly at the back end, like mainly like making sure that players actually join the same session now, which does work after a lot of struggles. And finally, we have a camera so that players can record footage from within the game. And yeah, that's I think mainly it for the most part. But yeah, I think that's mostly it from my end. We have the character, the fruits, and also we finally have like a sort of design document. I think over the next few weeks we'll finally be fleshing out like what the game would look and feel like even more. And also like our VFX artists have made some crazy islands as well as sword effects for what it will look like, and I'm so excited. So like we have fire fruit, we have a water fruit, and we have a sort of grass fruit. This is, of course, this might change or not depending on how we kind of go forward, but yeah, I think at a base, the fruits, the visuals, they all seem to be adding up. I think all that's left is to finally take that in and put it in, which is hopefully next week, where I kind of start making a sword that can kill a bunch of monsters, and yeah, and deciding a monster. So that's going to be fun, and yeah, I guess I'll take you guys to teach you guys how to design a boss monster in VR. So I think that's about it in terms of reflections. But yeah, I think it's a slow week, and it's all about kind of understanding how to go about change, because I think this whole new architecture is pretty new and not done before. And so kind of just understanding how Fusion works, building towards that, and just taking it a bit slow for this week. And then of course we push forward for next week, building up more features, more new different types of worlds, and yeah, we go from there. So in episode 2, I think we finally got started developing. It was a bit slow in my opinion, but I am totally fine with that. And so hopefully next week we have something to show for ourselves. And yeah, that's it for episode 2 and week 2 of building a game from zero to something for kids to play, for kids to love and enjoy playing.